up guys, it's your girl Nicole.Young, and in today's video I'm going to just be sharing another piece of my journey working through tech and learning the skills and all of the things. So I've talked to you guys about my first job in tech and how I quit that toxic work culture without a plan, and even my entire journey through boot camp. And now in typical me fashion, I'm also going to just be sharing an update with you guys about what it's been like starting a company with my co-founder and fellow designer, developer, YouTuber, Joèl. So if you're new here, my friend Joèl and I have set out to start a company within 100 days with the goal of making our first $50,000 by the end of 2021. Yeah. So we have been working through the process of getting this business started and starting to work on the first products that we are going to sell. And it has been such an interesting and fun experience, but it has not come without its challenges. So in this video, I just wanted to touch on a few of the challenges that I have personally been dealing with within this first month or so that we have been doing this, because I do think that they are unique to my personal journey, being a Black woman who has been in this industry for a short while, and just some of the habits and things that I've picked up that I'm realizing now are not going to serve me well as a co-founder, and particularly as a woman that has a male co-founder. So when we first started this challenge, I realized early on that it was really hard for me to vocalize how I was feeling about things, for me to partake equally in the decision making, and to just also advocate for myself in situations where I had a different opinion than Joèl. So I feel like I struggled with being a very passive communicator, always wanting to be a yes man and a team player, and feeling like if I had an opposing opinion or if I disagreed in any way, that was me not being a team player. I also really struggled with what I call self-advocacy. And what I mean by that is me saying, hey, the way we are doing things right now does not work for me. Can we switch it up? And always feeling like I am burdening Joèl or the other person by saying that, hey, I need things to be a little bit different, or hey, why don't we try something else? Because the way things are going right now are really hard for me. I have always been a person that was okay being at a disadvantage or being inconvenienced if it meant that everybody else was happy. I would rather just sit in my struggle and deal with it on my own than ask for help or ask that things be changed, because I never wanted to inconvenience other people. I've also found it challenging early on to be very stern in my decision making. And I know that this is also related to those other things that I mentioned in self-advocacy and passive communication, because for so long working on teams where it's tons of men just spewing their opinions and making decisions, it was easy for me to just say, yes, I agree with that, good to me, and move on. And I never really was working on being a stronger and more efficient decision maker. All of those things, passive communication, being pretty indecisive or not being able to make strong, confident decisions in the moment, not advocating for myself or being comfortable to use my voice in situations for my own benefit. All those things are not things that as a tech entrepreneur I can be doing. As a leader, as a co-founder, those are all things that are big no-nos. So I had a conversation with Joèl early on about the initial concerns that I was having, because I realized that number one, I have to be able to trust Joèl if this partnership is going to work. We've never met in person, so it has been really difficult for me dealing with that and just simultaneously getting to know him as we are building this business. But I was so nervous when I had to bring this up to him, but ultimately it went really well, and we were able to, number one, grow closer because he's starting to understand me and my thought process more, and also us finding level ground to meet each other on, where he can work in the pace and the way that he does, and I can work in the pace and the way that I do as well, without it being a problem or an issue. I want us to be equally contributing to what needs to be done to build Umber to what we want it to be.
Absolutely.
And I have felt like, just in this past week, because it's day 7 now, I have felt like the pace that you have set is much faster than the pace that I expected. And like, I agree that like, for us to get something done, especially to reach our goal in 100 days, like we have to be moving fast, but I feel like we have different definitions of what fast means.
Okay.
Because for me, I need a list of like, what are our priorities, or a solid checklist of things that we want to get done this week or something like that, so that when I check something off, I know exactly what I'm moving on to. And I feel like you're more like, I have this idea, I'm sprinting through it, and then I'm just moving on to whatever is next. And it's just like, I can't work like that. Something that I've learned just in the short time that we've been working together and talking about this, like, I have to work on how I communicate, because it has been easy for me, especially like in my professional career and in my adult life. And I think this is more so like related to being a woman in certain spaces. Like, it's easy for me to just be like, yes, okay, like team player, like I'm just here. Exactly. Be passive or submissive in like the situations I'm in, where here that's not going to work, obviously, because like this has to be a 50-50 thing.
Every team is different. All the members are different. Everybody, like you said, has their own strengths and weaknesses, and it's really just about finding a way to play to those strengths and to supplement those weaknesses, right? You're not always going to be the fastest person. You're not always going to be the slowest person. I think it's really, I'm really happy that you brought it to my attention and that you decided, to reach out just to talk about this, because I can totally understand where you're coming from, especially from the perspective as a woman, to like being either forced or just conditioned to take a more passive role, especially in this industry. And I really want to make sure that you have, one, the opportunity, and two, the comfort in knowing that I respect your opinion as my equal, and I want you to speak up when it comes to anything, whether it's an idea, whether it's an issue or a thought process. So
I say all that to say, sometimes as women, particularly as women of color, I think a lot of times we pursue opportunities to get promotions or leadership positions or move into something like entrepreneurship. And we may not realize that we have basically like adapted into certain traits or behavioral patterns that aren't going to serve us in those new levels that we are going to. And I think it's important to, self-assess as often as possible, invest in coaching and mentorship. I did that this year, and it has been super helpful as well in this experience. And also just like keeping an open mind and being willing to learn and sometimes unlearn things that aren't going to serve us in those new areas. But that's pretty much all I really have to say about everything. I am really excited to see how things continue, how I continue to grow as a person and as a founder and entrepreneur, and will obviously continue to share this process and journey with you guys, because I'm just really excited to do that. So as always, guys, I love you, rooting for you, and I can't wait to see you in the next video.